Play a second, Ben. That's showing our output on the compressor. We're going through our chain with the two mics into the preamps, into the line in, and blending them with the faders on the Mackie, assigning them to bus 1. So you pan over to the left, which is odd and even, left and right, 1, 2. So we're assigning them to bus 1, and here's our output of the blend of the two mics right here. That's feeding our 1176 compressor. Play a second, and I'm going to show you what a little bit of what compressing is going to do. What's compressing going to do? Let's enable the compressor. Down pick. Compression. That's width. Now, I'm not really compressing too much. I mean, I'll show you what happens when you compress a lot. Let's real quick. Let me just show that. Let me record that so we can then play it back to the speakers. Go ahead. And I'm going to be. Oh, darn it. I'm going to be adjusting the input, which is actually going to be lowering the threshold of where the compression kicks in, and I'm going to be adjusting the output to try and keep the output kind of the same level, just so you can hear the difference of how the compression is affecting the sound. Oh. The other tracks are going. I forgot about that. I'm like, why do I hear two things playing at once? Sorry about that, guys. Let's try that again. So if I set it with a really fast attack, we're really cutting off a lot of the attack. It's too much. It's really grabbing too much of the guitar. So I'm going to back off on the attack. Go ahead. And I'm going to also play with the release. Generally for down picking kind of stuff like that, I will set it for the fastest possible release, because I don't want to really, I want the compression, if I want it to pump a little bit, that's fine, but I want it to be more transparent than not. I'm using it more for a sound than for like, oh, I need to control the gain, because I mean, a lot of natural compression is happening already, especially with tube amps. The tubes naturally compress. The speakers are compressing, the microphone's compressing. There's a lot of natural compression, especially on tube preamps. They compress a lot. They compress the sound a lot. It's not as evident what I'm doing here on especially with the tube preamp, because I'm driving the tubes hard, so there's a lot of compression already going on. But you'd hear more with a solid state preamp. But then if I make the release slower, you'll definitely hear what's going on, and it usually sucks out way too much of the sound, but I'll show you what's going on with that. Go ahead. Release. You hear it's it doesn't jump out at you. It doesn't jump out at you nearly as much. Now watch what happens when you go faster release. Yeah, I mean, and I'm generally not, and you can hear, and I'll play it back again, you can hear the difference. When generally, especially for like that kind of style of music with the down picking, you're not, you can even see it. It's just sucking so much of the life out of the guitar. The guitar, and it's more of almost like what I was talking about with amp sims, like that's almost what the amp sims sound like. The sound is back further in the speaker. It doesn't do this, it doesn't jump out. And I always go for the thing to jump out, Yeah, and then watch what happens when I release it. It comes forward, and that's, I mean, obviously on different applications, sometimes back is great. Sometimes back's what you want, and especially not for not super heavy, like chun-chun type of guitars. Sometimes a lot of compression can be really cool. It's an effect and it's a sound. And it's another palette to use, Like I said, I go for like a really heavily compressed thing, and like I said, like a beatly kind of like those like kind of like arpeggiated clean chords, and those kind of like really strummy kind of things. Sometimes a lot of compression is really cool, and it's again, I'm not using it necessarily to go, oh, I need to really control the gain. Like that's the lazy way of thinking about compression. It's like, oh, just set it and forget it, so I don't have to ever deal with the guitar like going over, especially in digital, like peaking, hitting 0 and going over. But I'm using it as a sound. I'm using it to shape the sound, not necessarily to control the gain so much. So, but yeah, this is about right for there. And again, we would normally, sometimes after the compression, let's do this. I'm going to show a little bit, and this will kind of stem into what I'll talk about summing mics inside the box rather than if you don't have a summing mixer. I could show that. How would I do that to get that to, we might need a secondary input. Maybe I have to show that in the next segment. We can hook that up. We don't have a second input, right? No, we don't. Okay. All right, we'll figure that out. We'll get to that in the next segment. But I'll show you what to do. If you say you wanted, now that's all good, and you wanted that last stage EQ right after the compressor, maybe the compressor is dulling out our sound, or it's doing it, changing it in a different way that we're stoked on what the compressor's doing, but then it actually affected the EQ a little bit. Okay, so we need another EQ. Normally, I would patch in. I don't have another EQ, but a way to do it within Pro Tools or whatever your DAW is. So normally, if you see on the screen here, normally we have our input, and that's coming from our whole signal chain, and that's going right into input 1, and that's our assignment for our track. That's where we're getting it from. So, okay, we want to, Pro Tools doesn't, I don't know if does any DAW allow you to track through their plugins and actually record the tone?
The new Universal Audio stuff.
You can track through the plugins?
Quad, yeah.
Interesting, because up until I guess then, no, you couldn't.
Well,
so,
yeah. What do you mean? Can't you put it on an input?
No, well, if I put it on input, that's only affecting what we're hearing, the monitor. That's not, we're not actually, that when I'm going through, and that's what I'm about to show you, in Pro Tools and most DAWs, if I instance a plugin, say like the MDW 5-band EQ,
just playback?
It's playback only.
Not in Cubase.
It's not, oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well
I'm
basing
insert,
it,
you know what I mean?
Well, I'm basing it on what I do with Pro Tools, and people of you that have this and don't have the ability to track through your plugins to actually affect your recorded sound. A quick way to do it is, so now we have normally our track with our input coming off the Apogee. So let's create an aux input right here, and we'll call this source. And input 1, and that's going to be our guitar chain, but you can hear it buzzing right now. But instead of, now this is just an aux, it's not going to anywhere. So now let's bus this. Let's pick a bus, just say bus 13. And now that's sending it out, if knowing how mixer routing goes. So now the output of our aux is going to, a bus is merely, for people who don't know, it's just a place to send something. It's like, okay, go here. So you tag it and you say, go here, go to bus 13. Where does bus 13 go? So now the input, instead of it being input 1, the mic, the input is bus 13. So this is going to here. So now what you can do then you can actually take an EQ and EQ the sound, and you'll actually be able to record it. So play a second, Ben, and go ahead. Now if we wanted to give a little extra top, say we want to give a little extra top, maybe find that little sweet spot on the top end, a little extra guitar. Maybe we want to bump up the bottom. Okay, so for this, I just, instead of shelving EQ, which would do this, which would boost all the frequencies going up on a slope above the point that I selected, which is 8 kilohertz, I did a peak, so I'm just doing it centered around it, so the really extreme high stuff is not really getting, sometimes the really super high stuff, you get too much sizzle, and I don't really like that. Sometimes you might like that, but that's just what I chose. But I'm not going to use this for the tracking. I just wanted to show it as an example that if you didn't have, if you wanted to get another EQ and you wanted to really commit to a sound, this is a way to, with using software, using plugins, this is a way to actually use that in your tracking to further and commit to your tone. Because very easily I could have just put it on the regular track and, oh yeah, I can put it on for monitoring, but I don't want to track with that. It's like, well, why? Let's commit, again, let's take our sound and let's do that. So we're going to take it off again though, but, and bring back our input to input 1. And now we're back to our regular source. Also, I should state, when you're tracking, obviously, it goes without saying, it's very comfortable if, you know, if you hear it a certain way, if you need the guitar, if you have the artist in the control room with you, sometimes what they need to hear is not what you need to hear, not even in terms of volume. Like they need to hear the kick drum really loud to lock into it. I was like, can you bring the kick up? It's like, if you don't want to hear that and it's affecting your focus, then if you have the ability to make a separate independent headphone mix, you can either give them the headphone mix or you can pull up your own headphone mix. Like I said, I've had things where I have had instances where the guitar player is insistent on hearing the click, at least with the drums. I don't ever want to hear the click once it's going, you know. But if the guitar player needs to hear it along with the drums, I mean, I will fight and say, don't use the click, listen to the drums. But if he's really, really insistent, again, it's their record. I'm there to serve what they're doing. So if I don't want to hear that click, which I don't, I'm going to make a separate headphone mix, and I'm going to monitor this way. So it's very important, obviously, for the artist to make them comfortable and let them hear what they want. So you might want to just play a little bit of something, and then to hear what's going on. Do we have click? And then, right, so I have the click just as a count in, and that's it. And then he's off on his own. So on this version of Pro Tools, there's no input monitoring. On HD, there's a way to just, you know, without having to actually track. Can you play a second? Yeah, see, you can't just hear it on input on the non-HD version of Pro Tools. But normally I'll put it on input and I'll just say, play along for a second, and you know, do you need to hear anything? So I'm just gonna pop it in the record and let him play along. And then I'll be like, what do you know, is everything good? You need to hear anything? So go ahead and.
mix.
The what?
I need some changes in the mix.
Okay, go ahead. What do you need?
Can I just hear just the mix? I don't care about my track.
Oh, okay.
Bass, need the bass down, I think. You don't track with bass typically,
Yeah, it's true.
but you can leave it a little in if you want. But
Yeah. Yeah, generally, and again, going to my kind of philosophy that generally we usually do bass last, and I don't really know why I started doing that, honestly.
I could tell you why.
Well, I know why, McCartney. That's why I originally started to do that, because I remember reading about, like, talking about the Beatles again, and like McCartney used to pretty much always do his bass last, and I was like, and I love Paul McCartney, and I was like, well, works for him. And I actually find a lot of times, in terms of tuning too and intonation, there'll be times where the bass player will be like pulling things out of tune, and if there's no reference on the guitar, you wind up like chasing a ghost.
Yeah.
You start playing the guitar, and you're like, man, it's so out of tune,
Yeah.
and then the guitar's in tune. You're like, what are we doing?
You're typically recording way more guitar tracks than you are going to record bass tracks. So if you have to make adjustments, it's better to probably adjust the bass to the guitars.
And adjust the bass to guitars, and plus I like to, being a bass player myself, I love to work with the bass player and get him to kind of like adjust certain parts to bridge the gap between rhythm and melody.
That's the other thing. We make decisions along the way that affect how you guide the bass players.
Absolutely.
Like note choice.
There's lots of things that, like, even the vocals
like
will do afterwards. I'll be like, oh yeah, hit that note that's like harmonizing with the vocal, or stuff like, interesting things like that. So
Yeah.
normally we don't, like I said, he's adjusting it because we normally don't even have bass when
Yeah.
we're tracking at this point. Anything else, or?
Let's start with that. I
Okay.
think that was it. Maybe I'd like it louder.
Louder?
If you can.
Oh, that's going to affect what they're doing
All
there.
right, let's make do.
I'm going to bring it up, guys, just so you know. Okay. All right, hit it again. Okay, so this is a perfect example also when we're talking about muting guitar strings, but let's hear back what's going on. You can honestly hear the click, get it off. Now you hear that reverb? That? Perfect example. This is what I'm talking about. That sound that you hear in between those things is this. That's exactly. Now what? So, how do we get rid of that? Very simple.
We call this Tupac. It's like a little bandana.
We used to
Everyone's
call it.
got their own.
I used to call it Rambo all the time.
Right,
but that's an older. I'm not older, so that's an older reference. And then he used to say, "Oh, Tupac," and he used to call it Tupac. So
everyone can have their own.
Right. And this is very simple.
Some people would call it a Willie Nelson.
You
could on your style of music.
Whatever works for you. You make it. You take it and make it your own.
We play hip hop, so I call it Tupac.
You take it and make it your own, whatever that is. It's just as simple as some gaff tape, and usually just a little thing right there.
There's actually a company now that makes this. It's basically like a little, almost like a wristband with Velcro on it, and Steve was really pissed because he thought he's like, I invented
that was my
this
Ralph
thing.
Cramden $1 million idea.
That
It's
was
a
his.
harebrained scheme. That was it. And then also, you sometimes can get sound also from, let's see that now. Go ahead. Hey. Way better. Way better. Right. Sometimes this guitar doesn't really affect it. Some other guitars, the Les Paul usually is a little more loud, but sometimes this one will also do it. So we'll just put a piece of tape over that as well, too.
But I designed it so that it wouldn't.
But yeah, so muting the strings, that's a big thing right there. And again, also, I said it yesterday, but make sure you clip your strings, simple like that, because that rattle will happen, and all that kind of stuff is going to affect it. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to mute up if you have a guitar with a floating bridge, you have to shove foam in there and mute that, because they will also, it's the same thing, it's almost like a natural reverb. Sometimes that's cool though, you know?
Sometimes it's cool, but when you're building many layers, if you can nip it in the bud now.
So when you hear this, and you hear all that extra noise, so now let's do it with the strings muted, and let's hear what it sounds like again. Go back to the beginning. So now it's funny because, you know, deconstructing what that is, I mean, he's literally hitting all the open strings.
There's not even a chord.
There's not even a chord there. He's hitting the open strings on the guitar. But you see how he's playing, and you see the force that he's hitting the strings with. It's all about the intention. It's all about digging in and really just...
Yeah, for this part, like...
this part is
the chord
all...
was not important to me. It was picturing myself on stage being the guitar, honestly. Like, that's what the point of this part was. And so...
Right, and then again, what's the... if you break it down into its smallest component, and I go, okay, this part, what is that? And it's just like, it's just a like that. And so how do we capture that?
Right,
and
it's percussive. It's
violent, percussive. So,
you know? And so
we wanted to really make it as percussive and as kind of abrasive as possible. So let's really quick, we're just going section by, like I said, normally I go for a full performance, but we're gonna just section by section here. And let's double that with the same sound, pan to the opposite side. And so everybody can hear what that does. Do you really need to hear on one? It doesn't matter which side it's on?
No.
Okay. Normally we'll be like, you know, if we'll be in my control room and I'll be sitting there and the speakers are here in front of us, and he's usually in front of, like, say, the left speaker. So I will then flip the pan and I'll be like, okay, so now new guitar is the one closer to you, so he hears closer to what he's hearing. So new guitar's on the left, old guitar's on the right, and I'll tell him, okay, new guitar left, old guitar right. You ready? Okay, so, and same thing. Here we go. Awesome. Right.
We may need some Band-Aids, fourth wall now.
Oh, did you cut yourself?
I'm going to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is how, but this is, it's like kind of the thing, and it's like, it's a phrase, but, leaving your blood on the strings, but it's like, that's kind of what, especially in his case, that's what it is. I mean, he injures himself even playing in the studio. It's just kind of like,
Definitely.
It's true, but it's just like it's almost like you have to, I don't say exaggerate, but like I said, what we do in the studio, it's such a sterile and primarily in its essence is almost like a sterile environment, especially when you're overdubbing guitars. So it's like as much as we can like just go over that, because I feel like it's almost like headroom. It's like if you go too hard and go over it, at least what gets captured feels right. You know, if you just go like, kind of, you know what I mean? But playing it safe is just terrible. You can't do that. So it's like,
but this is a perfect example of like the right balance of control over the environment and also bringing that real live scenario. So for instance, things like the hum of these strings and stuff like that we muted, but we won't necessarily go in and clean out every in-between. Like there's some feedback and some noise.
This is a different thing because we're in what we're tracking is, I mean, you can actually even hear the speakers a little bit, which is almost like a live performance.
Right,
in a way, it's kind of cool, you know? To me, it's like, and you know, I'm looking at the screen. Don't look at the screen, but I'm looking to show you in like a hearing in a spot, and it's like, okay, well, this one particular, like that one, and knowing what the focus is, and talking about how you're locking in that little hit. It's like he's hitting. It's supposed to be hitting kick snare, and he's supposed to go like with the kick snare. So. And that one, like one of them feels a little off. That one's a little behind and a little behind. So here, let's really quick drop in and get that badant, you know. There's no quick punch. Where's quick punch? String. Hello, hold on.
I don't need it.
Showing about punching in, and I'm not punching in. There we go. We have quick. So, okay, so just to show everybody, so in Pro Tools, and I'm sure there's a different word for it in other DAWs, but it's what's known as quick punch. So punching in, it's enabling us to play back what's already there. With quick punch, hit one button and drop in a section of recording. Now, I want to make sure that there's a crossfade. Okay. In your preferences in Pro Tools, in editing, if you see right here, quick punch crossfade length, I generally anywhere from, you know, like it could be anywhere from 1 millisecond to 5. 3 for me, for some reason, feels right to me. It sounds right. So that's what I use. I use 3 milliseconds. Usually when it was on tape was even slower. It was like 8 to 10 milliseconds sometimes as much as. And that's a whole different piece of technology. But so it basically, what's happening in Quick Punch is wherever I start playing back from, that's actually where it's recording. It's recording the whole time, even though it's not, it doesn't show the recording, but it actually, if you trim back the layer, recording starts from right where I have my cursor. So it's recording the whole time in the background, and then when you actually hit record, press record, it's basically uncovering that section. So let's, okay, let's punch back in on that, Ben, just to show. I was just showing people, giving them a quick overview.
I broke a string, but we'll keep going.
Is it? All right. And that's almost exactly how it hit on the record. That extra,
yeah.
And then let's fix it on the other track as well. And again, I'm not looking and seeing that it was on. I listened, and it felt right to me. So that's how we're keeping it. One more time. It's a little late. Go. Yeah.
Oh, just the chicken.
Yeah, but that just try and push really hard. And there it is. And he wasn't looking at the screen. He was sitting there, and you saw him. He was looking away, and he's feeling it. And that's exactly.
That's when I got it. When I stopped looking at the screen.
When he stopped looking at the screen, exactly, because he was looking before a little bit, and now he wasn't, and that's where he got it. And all those little beep, all those little extra weird harmonics and everything like that, and you'll see, I could show you in the original recording. That's the one we did. Now here's the original recording. And ironically, I just want to point out something. The other recording, completely different amp, different set of circumstances, different mic preamp than what we used on the record, different cabinet, different compressor,
maybe different guitar,
different everything, and they sound pretty similar. They sound pretty damn similar because it comes from his hands. That's the reason why it sounds similar.